Cyclone Chido began battering the French Indian Ocean territory of Mayotte on Saturday, after authorities issued the highest alert and ordered everyone, including rescue workers, to seek shelter. It's an unprecedented event, extremely violent, Governor François-Xavier Beauvais said. As the cyclone neared the territory, the authorities banned all 320,000 residents from moving. A resident on the main island of Grande Terre, Ibrahim Kolo, described fallen electricity masts, roofs ripped off homes and trees uprooted as the first gust struck. There is no more electricity, he told local media from his home, where he had barricaded himself in. Even in our house, which is well protected, the water is getting in. I can feel it trembling. Raising the highest alert entails the strict confinement of the entire population, including rescue and security services and all officials mobilized for crisis management, the local government wrote on social media platform X. The warning went into force at 7 a.m., before the eye of the storm was due to pass over northern Mayotte. This is serious. Mayotte has never known a situation like it, local council leader Ben Issa Usini said on Friday. The authorities have turned more than 70 schools and gyms into shelters. They have given priority to the 100,000 residents assessed as living in the most vulnerable homes in France's poorest territory. We're really scared, said Fatima, a resident of the village of Majicavo Karopa on the eastern coast. The 57-year-old told local media she had stocked up on bottles of water, food, and candles. A cyclone alert was also in place and airports closed in the neighboring Comoros archipelago, and residents reported flooding in Madagascar to the east. At 4 a.m. Saturday, the cyclone was about 160 kilometers east-northeast of Mayotte, according to the latest bulletin from Météo France, published at 6 a.m. Rainfall accumulations of around 100 millimeters to 150 millimeters in 6 hours and 150 millimeters to 200 millimeters in 12 hours were expected in the region, Météo France said. Sea conditions were also expected to worsen with average wave heights of 6 meters to 9 meters outside the lagoon on the north and east coasts, and 3 meters to 5 meters inside the lagoon, especially in the western and northern lagoons. Météo France reports that Chido has experienced a slight decrease in intensity in the last hours, but will remain at significant intensity for the next 36 hours. A red alert came into force at 10 p.m. on Friday, 8 p.m. in Paris, on the archipelago. Traffic was banned on public roads on the two islands, Grande Terre and Petite Terre, and Dzadzi Airport closed at 8 p.m. The Regional Health Agency, ARS, asked patients not to travel but to call 15-inch, adding that medical resources had been increased to treat the injured or sick. In the meantime, the prefecture asked residents on the X social network to remain confined to sturdy homes with adequate supplies of water and food. The center of Tropical Cyclone Chido passed just to the north of Madagascar on Friday morning. At 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, the center of Tropical Cyclone Chido was located at latitude 12.0 degrees south and longitude 49.4 degrees east, which put the center about 75 miles, 120 kilometers, north of Antsiranana, Madagascar. Chido was moving toward the west at 13 miles per hour, 20 kilometers per hour. The maximum sustained wind speed was 120 miles per hour, 195 kilometers per hour, and there were wind gusts to 150 miles per hour, 240 kilometers per hour. The minimum surface pressure was 960 mb. Tropical Cyclone Chido was weakening slowly as it passed just to the north of Madagascar on Friday morning. A circular eye with a diameter of 25 miles, 40 kilometers, was at the center of Chido's circulation. The eye was surrounded by a ring of thunderstorms, and the strongest winds were occurring in that ring of storms. Bands of showers and thunderstorms were revolving around the core of Tropical Cyclone Chido. Storms near the core of Chido generated upper-level divergence that pumped mass away from the tropical cyclone. The removal of mass in the upper levels was not quite able to balance the stronger inflow of mass in the lower levels of the atmosphere. The greater inflow of mass in the lower levels caused the surface pressure to increase. Meanwhile, Malawi is on high alert for the impact of Tropical Cyclone Chido, as meteorological experts said Friday the cyclone will bring heavy rain and flooding to the country's south. An update from Malawi's Department of Climate Change and Meteorological Services said the cyclone, which at the time was northeast of Madagascar in the Indian Ocean, has maintained its strength with maximum winds of 250 kilometers per hour. It said the cyclone is expected to sustain that intensity through Saturday afternoon as it slowly moves westward at a speed of 22 kilometers per hour, with significant potential for heavy rainfall. According to the update, Cyclone Chido will likely pass through 11 districts in southern Malawi: Mangochi, Machinga, Falam, Balaka, Mulanje, Blantyre, Thilo, Karadzalu, Zamba, Mwanza, and Nino. It's expected to make landfall Sunday near Nacala in Mozambique, causing heavy rain and flooding in some areas until Tuesday. Chipoliro Camula, spokesperson for the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, told VOA that the agency has advised people in flood-prone areas to move to higher ground and follow evacuation orders. We have alerted all district councils and activated all clusters for swift preparatory and anticipatory actions, Camula said. We have also made standby arrangements for the deployment of a search and rescue team comprising the Malawi Defense Force, the Malawi Police Service, the Marine Department, and the Malawi Red Cross Society. Tropical Cyclone Chido comes a year after Cyclone Freddy, which killed over 1,000 people in southern Malawi and washed away large numbers of crops and livestock. Freddy also hit Madagascar, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. This year, even before the coming cyclone, Malawi has had to cope with the impact of El Niño weather conditions, which caused drought and food shortages for more than a quarter of the country's population of 20 million. Paul Turnbull, country director for the World Food Programme in Malawi, told VOA via a messaging app on Friday that the WFP has available food stocks in its warehouses to complement the government's food stocks. These stocks were mainly intended to be food assistance for people affected by El Niño as the requirement for El Niño persists, he said. If food is needed to respond to Cyclone Chido, WFP will be seeking support to cover these costs so that we would not compromise the support for the ongoing El Niño response. Turnbull also said the WFP has boats to assist the Malawi government fleet if boats are needed to deliver food and rescue victims of post-cyclone flooding.